Luciano Zaccara in Doha. He's an associate professor at the Gulf Studies Centre at Qatar University. Really good to have you back with us, Professor. This is quite a significant decision from the UN's nuclear watchdog. It found that Iran had breached its non-proliferation obligations for the first time in 2 decades. How significant is this ruling?
Well, it is significant because of the conclusion, but it's not actually the first time that this happened. If we follow up the resolutions that the Board of Governors of the Atomic Energy, we see that they always keep asking about these traces of enriched uranium that they found in some facilities that Iran never comply to fulfill all the information that they were required. But it was never considered as a demonstration that Iran had a nuclear program or with military objectives. The problem is now it seems that the conclusion is something that shows that Iran had, at least until 2003, a military nuclear program, something that actually is not the case right now. Since 2007 onwards, we saw different reports even from the United States intelligence agencies that Iran had abandoned. If they had a military program, they abandoned it at least in 2003, 2007. So it's not saying that Iran is having something now. They say
Okay, it looks like we have lost that connection with Luciano Zaccara, but that was Luciano Zaccara. Hello, Luciano, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, can I just ask you a follow-up question? Because we know that Israel for years had been accusing Iran of having nuclear ambitions. It had really sought to thwart those ambitions in several ways in recent years, including attacks and assassinations of key figures that it believes were involved in its nuclear program. What are the implications for the region, do you think?
Well, there are very complicated implications, because in case Iran decides to do something different, like, for instance, withdrawing from the NPT, means that they will expel all the inspectors, and therefore we will be in the situation like Saddam Hussein in 2002, when he expelled the inspectors, and therefore, since you don't have any eyes on the ground, you will never see if Iran is compliant or not. Since the very beginning, Iran has been complying with that, and all the reports from the Board of Governors were positive. Even though there were doubts, they were always saying that Iran was compliant, and they were providing all the information that it was requested. If a next step is taken and Iran decided to retaliate by expelling the inspector, considering that the agencies actually provided information to the US and to Israel to attack scientists, this will be a very bad development in the future, because it's going to create much more tension, and it could give the international community the reasons to escalate in the sanctions against Iran on the nuclear program, something that Iran doesn't want, and something that I believe the European Union neither want to do, nor China or Russia, which were the other signatories of the JCPOA. But this has to do with, I assume, that the conversations that with the United States, that they are not evolving as expected since the very beginning.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about the US, because we know that this decision from the IAEA comes at a time when both Washington and Tehran have been engaged in talks on forging perhaps a new nuclear deal. What impact will that have on those negotiations?
Well, probably it will have a negative impact. Until now, I was surprised that both the United States and Iran were saying that they were evolving. They had the progress in the conversation, when we never heard which was the progress about. They were talking about setting a framework to discuss what they are going to negotiate, but so far we never heard anything. And we saw that the positions were very different from each other. And it looks like the United States not very interested in continuing or pushing for that conversations, because they believe that this will take much longer than they expected. So probably this will discourage the United States to continue talking with Iran. We don't need too many things to get more sanctions from the United States, from the Trump administration, mainly towards Iran, because he has been the one that he imposed this maximum pressure policy in his first presidency. So it will add more tension in the region. It will add more pressure from the United States, trying to add more sanctions to different aspects of the Iranian economy, rather than trying to ease the tension and trying to reach maybe a negotiated solution, not similar to the JCPOA, because it's not possible to come back to 2015, but something that could be more original and that could set the ground for more understanding of the Iranian nuclear program nature and Iranian objectives and needs. That is something that is never discussed too much.
Okay, Luciano Zaccara, thanks as always for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.